Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs pregame show. And the good news, guys, the good news is that Luke Stuckmeyer is back next week. That's the only good news I really have. Also, I was telling Corey before he went live that the good news is the sun rose, but you could also say that's the bad news.
I think that's the bad news, Cody.
Yeah, that could be the bad news. So I guess the good news really is that Luke Stuckmeyer is back next week. Other than that,
the chat can finally relax.
Yeah, the chat can finally relax. I believe it'll be next Tuesday is when he'll be on next.
Wow.
Anyway, welcome in. Hit the like button. We got 5 likes. Hit the like button. Robert Fox, about time you guys are back. University, I can only listen to the first couple minutes of today's pregame. I don't know what you're talking about, Robert. We've been here all week going through the pain and misery of following the Chicago Cubs, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's got to be studying.
Yeah, maybe you just had mail tuned in. It's okay, but you're here today. We'll be back for postgame, obviously, after the game. Niren, Cody yelling into his pillow in 3, 2, 1. You should have seen me when I got home. Not on pregame. There's no pillow here. You should see me at home, though. I do live alone, so it's just like sometimes I can go through the ups and downs. Anyway, Corey _Cubs, Cody _CHGO. Follow the podcast on Twitter, CHGO _Cubs. Justin Steele going for the Chicago Cubs today, looking to bounce back from his last start that wasn't necessarily his best. Obviously, gave up 6 runs against the Red Sox, I believe. Going up against the Cardinals today, trying to bounce back after yesterday's loss, a loss that, if you watched last night's post-game show with me and Kevin, we basically said it was very telling of the season, right? The team's supposed to be built on pitching and defense, and they didn't get the pitching and they didn't get the defense last night. They were very lethargic. Right. They were very, it just wasn't good. It wasn't what you needed when you absolutely needed to win a game.
Yeah.
And I think that's just telling of the season and where we're at. And I think at this point, I'm not telling you how to fan, but I think at this point we all have to just accept that they're definitely selling and that this team, they just did not hit on the margins enough this year to be able to surpass the deadline without truly selling. And I'm upset about it. I'm pissed about it. It is what it is. But I'm trying to, in a way, move forward and look at the positives on this team and also look forward to the young guys that we'll see in the second half of the season. And I will say, at this point, the biggest positive that this organization has is Justin Steele.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and I saw a lot of chatter on it on Twitter last night, too. Like, it did seem telling. It's Ravi's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Ravi.
On Sunnyside Friday.
On Sunnyside Friday. There you go.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Those are good vibes. But, last night, it was pretty telling, right? Like, Jed Hoyer's talked that, we kind of look at everything as a must-win at this point, right? But he's talked about how they're looking at the bigger picture, and from a front office perspective, they're not changing their mind on a daily basis, right? We're buying, we're selling. This is not a Michael Scott vasectomy situation, right? There is no snip, snap, snip, snap.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Yeah. They have an idea of what they think of this team, and he talked, too, about, unfortunately, the Brewers keep winning, and that's kind of really what's deciding this for them, right?
Yeah.
But on a day-to-day basis, you do look at a game like last night, and it's like, from an outside perspective, it is a must-win in a sense. You've got your number 1 or number 2, depending on the day, right? Like semantically, starting pitcher on the mound up against your biggest rival who's creeping up behind you in the standings. You're at home, 10 days left to the deadline, and they just laid a total egg. Like, yeah. It was pretty telling of, like, this is the effort they get in their not biggest game of the year, but a game where everybody feels like they have to win. And, Stroman's had a rough stretch here, but obviously, like...
Since the London series, honestly.
Yeah, obviously at the same time, though, Wisdom really screwed him last night. Like, we all, everybody has bad games, but...
He made it worse.
Those 2 errors, Stroman was over 40 pitches in the second inning. Like, clearly... I'm not saying he would have thrown a shutout otherwise, but it's, I don't know. It's tough to hold it against him. He pitched out of that one jam, the first jam that Wisdom put it in.
Yep.
But, you rack up the pitches. It is what it is. So,
I was trying to explain this to Kevin, like, because of those errors, it forced Stroman to throw more pitches, and then also it would have been 0-0 when Jordan Walker hit the homer.
Well, and it turned,
so then it would have been a 2-0 game instead of a 3-0 game.
You can never say, this would have happened or this would have happened, but the errors turn the lineup over. They bring up different people. You're at the top of the order sooner. It just put him behind the eight ball. But
the biggest thing, too, is that they couldn't hit Steven Matz, who's awful. And the Cubs have been good against lefties.
Well, and that was a point that a lot of people made, and we were kind of talking about it. I think it was a point that Kevin Wells made when we were on the show a couple nights ago after they won the series against Washington. Like, they got to win the games on the schedule, or that's how we're kind of looking at this stretch. Yeah. But they really only did good work against a bad team's bad bullpen. Right? They didn't do much against Trevor Williams in that game, right? Like, they did enough to win until the late homer tied the game, or the late rally tied the game. But they really only did work against the Nationals bullpen in a few of those games. Like, it wasn't that's kind of what we mean where we say, like, Jed's not looking at this going, oh, we're buying now because we beat the Nationals. It's like he's also looking at that going, they didn't really do anything against Trevor Williams, who had been bad. They didn't really do anything against Steven Matz, who had been bad. Yeah. Like, it's a familiar story. As we've said, I think a lot, this team looks like the best version of themselves for a week and a half at a time, and then the absolute worst version of themselves for that same amount of time or maybe longer, which is just the story of how this season has been. And
we can add on more to that here in a second. Sarah put the lineup up, so let's go through it. We got the summer of Mike Tauchman leading off, playing center today. Horner at short, so Dansby Swanson's out again. We can go over some of the stuff that Ryan tweeted out, roster updates as well. Ian Happ in left field, batting third. Cody Bellinger, the stay hot Cody Bellinger at first base and batting fourth. And then Seiya Suzuki in right field, batting fifth. Christopher Morel at second base, batting sixth. Yan Gomes batting seventh and DHing today. Miles Mastrobuoni at third, batting eighth. And then Miguel Amaya at catcher today, batting ninth. So, let's go into the roster updates. I mentioned Swanson. He's running the bases again today, and I think that he did that yesterday, so I guess that's kind of a good sign.
I believe so, yeah.
Nick Madrigal is in Iowa tonight playing third base for the Iowa Cubs, and then I guess Brad Boxberger is expected to go off the mound next week. This whole Boxberger thing, like, not that I care anymore, but like they can't, like, he's been out for so long, they can't even trade the guy. I'm at this point, I feel like they should just DFA him. Like, what's the point? He's a veteran reliever who honestly hasn't really been that good for you. Whatever. I'm spiraling, but I just whatever. I was saying this to Kevin last night, and I can't believe. I mean, in a way, I can just based off what this roster looks like, but Nick Madrigal has been the only really good third baseman for this team this year, and I can't believe that we're really saying that. And when I say that is, like, defensively, the advanced metrics say that he's been very good at third base. And then when he started finally to hit, it was like, all right, well, at least you're getting more production there. And then he got hurt again, and like that's been the story of his career, is that he goes through really nice stretches where he looks like a very solid offensive player. Like, the player profile is it I wouldn't say it necessarily makes sense that the White Sox took him number 4 overall in the draft, but he shows why that he could be a 300 hitter and just be an on-base machine for you, but he can't ever stay on the field.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and I know me and you agree with this, like, Madrigal just isn't a prototypical third baseman. As great as he's been there defensively, you absolutely need more power there. But when we're talking about the 2023 Cubs, he has legitimately been the only real consistently good third baseman for them all season. Because even though Wisdom hits homers, he hasn't been good defensively at third, and he showed that again last night. Miles Mastrobuoni doesn't even have 100 play appearances, but he hasn't been deserving of a lot of play appearances because he hadn't taken advantage of the opportunity outside of this week with 2 decent games against the Nationals. And then Christopher Morel, they want him to get more work over there, but They finally started giving him some work, but then Swanson gets hurt, so they're moving him to second. Like,
right.
Whether you believe they should have been playing Morel 2 months ago at third base or not, like, he just hasn't. They haven't used him over there. My hope in the second half of the year is that they do play him more at third. But again, circling it back, like, Madrigal really has been their best third baseman this year, and I can't believe that I'm saying that, because going into the year, we all thought that it wasn't going to be like an everyday thing or a serious thing. It was just like a way to get him in the lineup, and hopefully he plays himself into the lineup and all this. He played so bad that they had to send him to Iowa, and he came back from Iowa, and he got hot. And, like, good for him. Like, it's not like I'm rooting against the guy, but it took him, like, 2 months to turn it on. It was, like, June 9th when he came back from Iowa, and he started to hit. So,
right.
And now he's hurt again. He's going to be back, hopefully, for the White Sox series, and then if he can stay healthy the rest of the year, sure, maybe I can, be on board for him to be, like, a utility player type guy on this roster next year. I'm just left up in, like, arms with him and a lot of the options that we have in these corner positions.
At this point, if this season is heading the way that it sort of appears to be heading, you might as well see what you have, right? Like, because he still has a lot to prove. He has done, and I've given him credit the whole time. Like, I did not think he could play Major League caliber third base. I did not.
Yeah.
He has. He's rating well there. A friend of the podcast, Matt Clapp, had tweeted about this, and then I think Fangraphs did an article about how he's using that kind of he's not jumping, but he's like sliding to make the throws shorter. He figured out a way to do it, right, for a guy that doesn't really have the arm strength to play third base. He's rating well there. For whatever reason, the last couple of years, Patrick Wisdom has just torpedoed on defense there. I think in 2021, he was a nice defender there, and that has just gone away.
Yeah.
But for Madrigal, like, when he comes back, you might as well figure out what you have there, right? Whether that is, as you said, to be a depth piece going forward, a utility guy, someone that comes and makes contact off the bench, or somebody to trade, right, if a team is interested. Because even for how poor he hit at the beginning of the year, even for that little hot stretch, he is still not rating as a league average hitter. He's still below it, right? And for those counting at home, Patrick Wisdom is still above. The two of them have kind of gone, Patrick started here, now he's here, right? Madrigal started here, now he's here, right? So they're meeting in the middle, unfortunately. So he has a lot to prove. But, yeah, like, if this is where the season is, like, you might as well. I'm intrigued to see what they do with Morel going forward.
It's probably one of the biggest things to look for.
I think we've seen it.
Second half.
But I do like him at second base. Like, the Cubs have one of the best middle infields in the league when they start Swanson and Nico Horner. It's brilliant. And I'm not saying I would consider moving Horner to third. I think they spent a lot of money to have that middle infield, but Morel looks good at second base, and you've seen it a couple times in that national series and just throughout the time that he's been at second base. He made a really nice play in that game last night, diving to his left to save a few runs early in the game.
First inning,
and then on some of those double play turns, like, he has a cannon of an arm. So he is making a lot of double plays happen because he is able to turn those so quickly.
And he's shown on, like, balls up the middle that aren't hit necessarily hard to be able to charge them and make what looks like an awkward throw, a strong, accurate, awkward throw over to first base while maybe running the opposite direction. He's shown that a few times. So
and he's out there again today.
There's no doubt that Morel has been better defensively at second base than any other position. And even last year, whenever they did play him a few times at shortstop, I thought he looked good over there too. Obviously, with Swanson and Horner, he's probably not going to play shortstop for a very long time unless some crazy injuries happen and we're all dead inside.
I mean, I think, he's at second base again. Obviously, as you said, from our guy Ryan Herrera, Dansby running again, which, hopefully, given the nature of his injury, means he's feeling good. There's no setbacks. There's no pain. So hopefully he's coming back soon. But if Morel continues to hit, right, which he has, he's cooled off only in the sense that he was violently hot to begin the year when he finally came up. But, like, even through, he's at 223 plate appearances now. He's got a 132 WRC+. Like, the dude is hitting.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do as far as the construction. And I see Craig in our YouTube chat. Craig is here, I think, every day. So glad to have you here, Craig. I do agree. It is a similar problem. Nico is a better player than Nick Madrigal in every facet of the game, but it's still the same thing. Like, third base is a position where you would like to have a lot of power.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're going to do. I
feel like they would have.
It's a decent problem to have,
yeah.
right? In terms of some of the problems we've discussed with this team, feeling like Morel is hitting consistently enough to the point that you need to continue finding a place for him to play is a good problem to have. But how they deal with it once Dansby comes back is going to be, and if Madrigal comes back, because at this point they want to see what he can do. They want to see if he can hit consistently. Probably put one of them at the DH so that you stop DHing Trey Mancini half the time. Just a wild suggestion from me to stop playing Trey Mancini at all, please, ever. Like, he's not in the lineup today, but, like, boy, is that yeah. Anyway.
Can you scroll up a little bit on the chat, Sarah? I saw one. Levi TV. He says Morel should be playing left field, DH, but both corners are locked down. Can Happ play third? He was an infielder in college, and the only thing I say to that is Happ is he's been a very solid left fielder for you defensively, and he openly has said that when he's played one position, it made him a better player. He was able to hit more consistently. I know this year the power hasn't been there, but even last year the power wasn't there. To me, this year
is not as great as well. But
say that again.
I think the defense is not as great as well
as last year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, yeah. For sure, it's not as good as it was. He's definitely not playing as well as he did last year, but we've seen him throw runners out at home from left field. He's made some nice sliding catches this year. Like, I don't know. I think also, you have to leave Happ in left field or DH him if you're not going to play him. But I don't really want to, unless it's an emergency situation. I don't want to see him play the infield. When you just extended him,
like, you got to leave well enough alone. I know we're trying to, like, make the puzzle work, but
I do think
you found a way to, like, get him to.
I do like the idea of, like, being able to put Morel in left field and DHing Ian Happ a day if you need to. I know that didn't necessarily work out in a random game against Houston this year that I still haven't forgot, but I think as time went on during the season, Morel is not going to ever be an above-average outfielder, but he was able to at least make the routine plays out there, which was something that felt like you didn't know if he'd be able to do when they first started playing him in the corner outfield.
Well, and also,
when he got called up.
I say this like sort of in jest because we were just talking about it, but I think it's also true. If you're looking at this year, Ian Happ doesn't have enough power to play third base. He's not playing third base. I know you were talking about the infield, but like the issue at third base is somebody needs to be slugging. I mean, at one of the corners, somebody needs to slug. And unless Cody Bellinger's been there, that's not happening.
Yeah, Wisdom is the only one at third base that has played it that brings that, but the defense has just been so up and down. Like, even yesterday, he had the 2 errors, but then there was another one where he fielded it and then couldn't make the throw to first. Yeah. And it's just like, what are we doing? I think that led to a run too. So
I did not see what is happening in our live YouTube chat, but the live YouTube chat is just naming dudes. They are guys naming dudes right now. Yeah. I see a Corey Patterson reference. I saw a Jason Mott reference. I don't know what y'all are doing, but I'm into it.
I like the Jason Mott gif that you can find on Twitter when he's in with the Cubs.
I don't know what. Clapping to Castro's music.
Yeah.
Going back to the lineup today, I'm glad Cody Bellinger's hitting fourth.
Yeah.
I know there's just been a lot of games where Ross has like refused to put the guy that's actually hitting and has some power higher in the lineup, so that's good to see. I'm glad that Miguel Amaya's in there. Whatever on like Mastroboni. I mean, as we're talking about, like, nobody's playing third base well at this point. Like, sure, he had a good couple games, and like at this point, like, who cares? But like, I don't know, man. They're giving a lot of starts to a guy with a 530 OPS.
Well,
it's not my favorite thing in the world. But
again, this goes back to Madrigal. Like, I think Mastroboni would still be in Iowa if Madrigal was here. Now, and this brings me to my point last night, and I think you've probably said this to me all season, but I just haven't necessarily read it the way that you were explaining it to me. But like, the organization is just playing unserious. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't tried other options. Master Boney, you look at the numbers, and as much as I like to joke about him and like cheer him on because no one else wants to cheer him on, like, sure, yeah, like Jake Slaughter leads AAA Iowa in homers, and I don't know if he was going to come up and be anything at all, do anything at all. I mean, Jared Young also had an OPS over 1,000 in Iowa and came up here, had like 3 good games, and has been awful since. So,
right.
like, all I'm saying is, like, the Cubs have done nothing to really try and fix third base at all internally. That they simply have not done that. And, like, to me, that shows that they're just unserious about this year.
Well, and
they could have, and not that I support it, but they could have moved Nico to third if they liked Morel at second more when Swanson was healthy, like when games really mattered. You know what I mean? They could have tried that. They didn't. And if they're willing to do that with Madrigal, but not Nico, for just also to be able to have that same offense out there, like the fact that they were unwilling to even try it, like shows that they're just unserious about the season and trying to win in all aspects.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
just, you know,
There's a lot of stuff that, you know, I think we're going to look back on, and it's just really frustrating. I mean, even
for sure.
you know, he's not playing today, but I don't know if they're trying to like squeeze the value out of Trey Mancini because they signed him for multiple years, or if they're trying to like by a miracle have somebody trade for him. I mean, nobody's taking that. You're going to have to pay somebody to take him.
Yeah.
So maybe they were trying to get him hot, but like, you know, if we're playing games that are like must win in a sense, and you're running some of these guys out there in July, like, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like, you cut bait on Eric Hosmer a long time ago, but like Trey Mancini's like, it's not apples to apples, but he's also been terrible. You're still running him out there. You're DHing him, pinch hitting him with other righties late in the game. It's a mess. And then
first base situation's been,
you know, as Niren is saying in the chat, like they still, I know the options aren't great, but like they still refuse to move certain guys in the order. Like you still have Nico, and you know, Nico hit the grand slam the other night. He'll come out of that funk. He's a good hitter, but like Nico and Happ as your 2-3. Right, when, you know, Bellinger's up there at the 4 spot today, but Morel's in the 6 spot. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like you have to be moving the guys that are hitting. Like, Amaya's young, but he's been one of the only guys that's actually been hitting when he plays. Like, why is he hitting behind Miles Mastroboni? Right? Like, why is Morel hitting 6th, but Happ continues to hit 3rd? Like, I just don't. I'm just not. Ross's options aren't good. We've said this a million times, but I feel like he has been a bit like stubborn with some of this stuff. Like Happ is not slugging, but you keep putting him in the spot where you need slug. Like it's not going to work. And Jed Hoyer was talking about it on the radio, I think yesterday, where he was like, you know, we're relying too much on singles to you know, or base hits to churn rallies rather than homers and doubles. And you know, we don't want this team to, because it's the opposite problem that the old core had, right? They only hit homers and they struck out in the key spots. You got to find that balance, but I don't know. It just, you look at the lineup and stuff is just debatable on a daily basis, where you just go like, I don't know if this makes a lot of sense, but we'll see.
Los Cruz says Velasquez showed power immediately, versatile in the outfield. I would disagree on that, but then says no chance. I would, and that's another thing. I do think Velasquez has deserved an opportunity to at least DH on this roster. I don't think he's a good outfielder, but that just kind of goes into like everything that I was saying. Like I was looking at his numbers yesterday. Turns out he only has a 94 weighted runs created plus in Iowa this year. But again, 13 homers, 41 RBIs. He's, you know, slugging well over 400. Like, who could be any worse than the DH spot for this organization, considering who they've been putting in the DH spot on a regular basis? Whether, you know, when Wisdom was hurt, you're getting Mike Tauchman there, and you're getting, some days they'll use Mancini if they want to play Bellinger at first, or, all these like different options. It's like the DH and the first base positions have been awful, man. So I think that just kind of sums it up. Also, someone said that Justin Steele got carved up by the Cardinals in London, and that's actually not true. Justin Steele shoved against the Cardinals in London. So let's go over the pitching matchup here, because we've waited way too long to talk about the one good thing going on with this organization. That's Justin Steele.
Justin Steele has been pretty good against the Cardinals both times.
Yeah.
This, season.
So
also, in our live chat, Jack R., I see who you're mentioning in our YouTube chat. I am not going to say his name. Thin ice, Jack R.
Yeah.
You're lucky Brendan's not here.
Right. Also, now I'll just save that. I'll save that for myself. So Steele coming in. Well, Jack's in our comments all the time, and like sometimes he says some. I appreciate him being here, but sometimes he says some wild shit. Steele 2.96 earned run average coming in today. Jack Flaherty 4.29. He's the Cardinals are hoping he increases the trade value today. I'm assuming, right? He's would be a rental for a team. He's been
last three.
meh.
He's been meh, but last three he's been pretty good. So his last three starts against the Yankees, the Marlins, and the Nationals, who we just saw. So 18 and 2/3 against those three teams. 3 earned runs, all against the Nationals. So no earned runs, but 9 hits against the Marlins. No earned runs, 4 hits against the Yankees. He's walking a lot of guys.
I remember that
kind of
being
been
his biggest issue.
even in those last 3 starts where he's had good results. 3 walks, 2 walks, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 5 Ks, 4 Ks. So the K to walk ratio is not where you would want it to be. So you're probably going to look, hopefully, for the Cubs to be a little patient today, take their walks. Flaherty in this particular season is the type of guy where you don't want to let him off the hook, right? He struggled in a lot of these outings. He is walking guys, so don't make him work, make him throw some pitches, and try to see if you can get him in a little trouble here.
Yeah, Vanilla Chill says would not be opposed to us bringing in Flaherty next year. I mean, he hasn't been 2019 Flaherty for a while, but maybe the pitch lab could do something. He's not going to be super expensive.
The pitch lab can mess him up like they did.
That's true as well.
I'm kidding.
Hey, Tyone's been good his last 2 starts.
He's
been good enough.
I say I'm kidding because I generally like the pitch lab.
Yeah, I generally like the pitch lab too. Before we get to who you got, I want to remind you guys, CHGO Crosstown Series takeover next week. First one's next week. Unfortunately, the first game is at the Cell. That's not anyone's fault other than MLB, because they're the ones who are making the schedule. So the Cubs and Sox will face off July 26th at 7:10. If you go to allchgo.com, you get all the information there. You can get your ticket. Tickets still available, I believe. I was looking online today, because someone tweeted at us and asked if he could, or said he couldn't get a ticket or whatever. And I looked on the website and was like, we still have tickets available. So unless I'm doing it wrong, and if I am, please let me know. But anyway, July 26th, Cubs Sox, guaranteed rate field. We'll be sending in section 529. Pregame meetup is at 4 p.m. at the Carrig Pub in Oak Forest. And then everyone who's there will be shuttled to guaranteed rate field from there. And if you don't want to go to that one, obviously we'll still have when the Sox come to beautiful historic Wrigley Field, August 16th. We still have not figured out what pregame bar we're going to do this at. They better figure this out, in my personal opinion. But that pregame meetup will be at 5:30, and then we'll just walk over to Wrigley Field. We'll be sitting in section 425 on the right side of the ballpark. I think right field, I guess, technically, whatever. And again, each ticket purchase comes with the new CHGO baseball shirt. You get the south side or the north side. Assume everyone here is going to get the north side one, because if you're a Sox fan watching this shit, just to hate watch, I guess. I mean, that's kind of weird, but whatever. And then obviously the ticket also gets you into the game. So it should be a lot of fun.
If you are hate watching, hit the thumbs up.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up if you're hate watching.
Do it for Sean Anderson. Sean Anderson will want you to.
Yeah. So anyway, I know the game won't necessarily mean much in terms of playoffs or whatever, but you get to hang out with me and anyone else from the CHGO crew, and we'll have a good time, have some beers, and you can sit and bitch about this team together. So anyway.
Well, and, just before we sign off or do who you got, obviously defense wasn't great behind him in that last outing for Justin Steele.
Yeah.
But, not his best start as well. So obviously he's looking to rebound there. He's been phenomenal. 2 outings against the Cardinals so far this year. Obviously the one in London was 6 innings, just the 5 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. He was great in that game. And then back on May 10th, also at Wrigley Field, 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. So he's been good against them this year. Obviously, Steele has been one of the best pitchers in the league all year. So hopefully he's able to continue that today. Same thing as always, right? Like, the writing is on the wall, I think, whether you want to read it or not. Like, I'm just trying to tell you the reality of the situation. But, take it day by day, right? Like, try to win games. Try to have a better game today. Play clean baseball would be nice. Yeah. That's a low bar. Just let's not throw the ball all over the field and whatever they were doing last night. And go support your guy. Like, get Justin Steele a W. It's Friday. It's 1:20. So.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it any better, my friend. Michael Collada in the chat says that he'll never watch the White Sox even if they are playing the Cubs. So that's big of you, Michael. Big of you. I don't blame you. Okay, who you got? Let's do it. This is this is the only thing left for the season, guys. This is the most important thing. Nothing else matters, as Luke Stuckmeyer would say. So I'm taking Hap because I'm still trying to save his season in terms of I don't know, driving runs in, I guess.
Corey, why are you taking Seiya?
Why not?
Because he's been hot. That's why.
I literally was talking so much crap about him yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Has he been a disappointment for the season overall? I would say yes, but he's been hitting well recently.
Okay.
And then Brennan's going Nico. Ryan's going the summer of Mike Tauchman. And then even Kevin decided to just send his own pick in. So, and he's going with Bellinger.
I would have gone with Bellinger
Who are you going to take?
Well, I was going to pick Bellinger anyways, but then Kevin texted saying, "Hey, I'll take him," and I was like, I was going to do that too, so I'll give Kevin the points.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just going to let him be the producer pick.
Yeah, because I was going to pick the same thing, and so I was like, I'll let him do it.
Yeah.
Well, and so this is sort of backwards because I feel like every time I take Seiya, he goes 0 for 4. Because I started taking him at the beginning of the year because I like him, and I might be responsible for, some of the slumps he's been in. But as we talked about, the other night when he had a good game to finish that National Series, like that's one of those things. However this is going, you need him to get right, and no matter what, you're going to want to see more power. Which at this point, I have, it's a little dubious whether that's going to start coming. But like, you can live with a good hitter, right? If you have to find the power elsewhere, that would not be how you wanted that signing to go, right? You wanted that power that he showed in the NPB to transfer over to the MLB, which it has not yet. But it's important that he is a good hitter. If he can finish the season around a 120, 125 WRC plus, et cetera, like that's important, and that's something you need to know for next year. So I believe in Seiya. I believe he can be that hitter, and I guess I'm trying to will that to happening. Brendan, I know people are talking about it in the chat. Brendan and I will be with you on Sunday, and we will be talking about then, by the time we record officially, Hall of Famer Pat Hughes.
That'll just be the entire show, right?
Probably. Should be.
Should be, right?
Craig,
Anyway.
nobody is taking Mastroboni.
So
if you want to
Gary is telling people to take Mastroboni to play the bit like I do.
Today is on Apple TV,
yeah,
isn't
Apple
it?
TV.
So
yeah,
just
I have
up.
Apple TV, so thanks to me, we'll be able to watch the game. Big of me.
Yeah, heads up if you're in the chat, you have 15 minutes to figure out how to watch this game on Apple TV. So
Apple TV is like $4.99 a month, so whatever. And they have good shows. Ted Lasso.
You want to spend $4.99 a month to watch?
I'd spend $4.99 a month to watch Ted Lasso, and a few of the other shows are on there. But and I also like the Apple TV Plus broadcast.
There is a post game Vanilla Chill. Cody and I will be here.
Yes, we'll be here on the score because Pat and Ron and
Zach
I think aren't there. I believe it's Matt Spiegel and Elise Menaker.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed Elise Menaker. She was in the broadcast booth,
on
Elise TV the other day. I'm actually.
I think Elise is great.
Yeah. So some people were kind of talking some smack in the chat about the radio broadcasts without Pat and Ron. I think Elise is great. You should give her a shot.
I think that's, you're going from literally the GOAT to anything else. It's a downgrade.
Yeah,
so
it's a downgrade.
No offense to anybody.
I'm not saying that she's better. I'm just,
Pat Hughes is Pat Hughes. So.
All right. Again, we'll be back for post game. Hopefully, at the very least, we see some fun baseball and get to talk about, some good things that some young guys who are going to be here beyond and whatever. Maybe Bellinger hits a homer. We can talk about the trade value stock up.
I am also prepared. It's not ideal, but I'm prepared to host this show solo if you're in a pit of despair or you walk into traffic, anything like that. There will be a show no matter what.
Despite that these games basically don't matter anymore, I'm also like, can we just not get swept by the Cardinals? So
well, we know it'll be bad if I'm on the show and Cody's not. That's when we know
You'll
things.
Know,
yeah. Have
Sarah's
really,
sitting in this seat.
Yeah, that's when we know things are really bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, we'll be back here after the game. We'll see you then. Let's fly the W or something. Peace.